Des, what's your earliest memory?
Really, it's 4-year-old, and of course I was born in 34. I was pre-war. And just running in the village, when Mum had to take us to shopping, walk 4 miles. Nobody had a car, only the gentry and the farmers. So she had to walk to Sherborne, 4 miles away, pushing those kids in the pram. Well, 3 of us. And my sister was born in 39. That's when war broke out. Then.
So whereabouts was that, Des?
That was in Trent, on the border of Dorset and Somerset. The river was the divider. And, anyway, when I got the war broke out and got to age 6, I started work. I'm not joking. I went down to the big farmer. Anything going, He said, well, the Land Army girls and old Shep were sizing turnips. Sizing turnips mean you had a little hoe and they sowed them thick. And then you slice through so there's only 1 or 2 turnips, then the next 4 inches. So they swelled, and grew. And that was, he said, 1 6 an hour, lad. He said, you're not very old, but in those days, the school, the primary school, 30 half days, the kids had to plant potatoes, then 30 days when the crop was ready to pick potatoes in the war effort, They got 1 6 an hour, the kids, and we gave one old farmer a bad name, me and my friend Harold Brown, and said he's an old villain, And he come down to school and picked me and Harold out to pick potatoes. He never had a digger. You had to grubble through he played a double-sided mobile plough, 2 6 an hour. And a big feed at dinner time. And his housekeeper used to look after us. So the kids never knew that at school.
So when did you do this, Des?
In 41.
But before school, after school?
No, they let you have 30 half days off from school. Yeah. And then we had the war effort. I'm going away a bit. But me and the youngest brother had labels on us, labels on our ladies. We're going to Canada. They shipped kids to Canada.
All right, so let's just go back a bit, Des. Where were you living? What sort of house were you in when you were picking potatoes?
Born in a cottage, a double cottage, farmer cottage in Rig Lane in Trent. And
do you remember that house?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like?
Solid stone. And the barn on the end, the barn roofs used to come over the top of the bedroom, and you could hear the rats after the corn. But it was 2-bedroom only. Everybody was born there.
So who lived in that house?
The next door neighbour was a gapper, a fellow gapper. And we used to all go down there. The air raid shelter was a hole in the ground with railway sleepers crossing. The dirt they dug out was on top. And you couldn't go out in the yard overnight, because the next morning you'd find shrapnel from the AK guns amongst the cabbages and stuff. And
who lived in that house with you? Who was there?
George, my father and mother, and David, Cedric, and Jane was in the cot. Then we had refugees from London come down, children, all with tickets on, you know.
Like tickets, you mean labels
The
around their neck?
name on, yeah. And we got 2 little girls, about 5 and 6 year old. And they had to sleep in the room where we slept. Us 3 boys slept in the one big double bed. And they had the single bed, and your sister slept in the cot with Dad and Mum.
Do you remember these kids' names?
I can't remember their names now, but I can remember some of them at school, like, that stood out. There were a few Italians, you know, and Casalis and names like that.
So these kids that came to board with you came from London?
London, yeah.
So when they were bombing London, they took the children out and...
That's right.
Ferried them out to the country?
Yeah. Clapham Common, that's where they came from, the ones that were staying with us. Yeah. And so we had 40 extra in the school, which Mr. Ryder was the main teacher, and Miss Ballon was the teacher in the primary part. And nice girl. And her husband was a paratrooper. I met him in a strange way. I was riding my bike and skidding in the gravel on the wrong side of the road. He come around the road, corner on an motorcycle, bang. Yeah, so they carried me into the big house there, and I had been doing work there, cleaning chook pans and all that sort of stuff, and Major Burt. Yeah, so things happened. Then I went down to the shop to get a loaf of bread, came back, couldn't get off, so I let myself fall over and broke the leg. Still got the scars. So I spent 3 months in Sherborne Hospital, and air raids every night, you know. But the worst thing
where would you go when the air raids were on?
They still stayed in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they flew over to Sherborne to get to Bristol, where they were building aircraft, you know. And big Barry's balloons up all over the place. And the German planes used to fly into the steel hawsers, the ropes. That's how they got caught.
Tell me about that. What were they?
Barry's balloons. You've probably seen them. Funny shape. They've got heavy wire ropes. And the planes that dodge are flat. And then the wings would catch all. Down they come. And
as a little boy, did you ever see the German planes flying over?
You're right. We went down. I went down with David Lorman and his father. They used to milk cows in the paddock, and they just walk around the stool and the pail and milk the cows wherever they stood. And one day it was just like a mob of Ibis coming over, and he grabbed a pair of us, threw us in the gully. Get in there. Until they went over, they were going to Bristol anyway. But if they got turned back, they'd drop the bombs anywhere. And there was a big hole in his paddock with an unexploded bomb, you know. That happened everywhere. And
were you scared as a young boy, or was it exciting for you?
No, didn't worry. It's just one of them things. We didn't play cowboys and Indians. We played English and Jerrys. You know, nobody wanted to be the Jerrys, but that was it. Yeah.
So when you picked potatoes, you said you'd get a big feed. Was that where you were, or could you take some potatoes home?
Oh, no, we had plenty of potatoes ourselves.
So when the war was on, what about rationing and food? Was that a problem, or did you have lots of food?
Never run out of meat. We had no butter. And the margarine was like flaky white like a book. And never ran out of rabbits. And in the autumn, the kids lived off the hedgerow, hazelnuts, walnuts, chestnuts, pull the turnip up in the field and share it between the four of you. You know, slice it down. Every boy had a knife and a dagger. Well, you had to have them. Cut the apples in half, scrump apples, and we ate well, you know.
So what would a day consist of? Like you said, you'd get taken out of school at lunchtime, so you'd go and work?
No, morning time.
Morning?
Yeah, and then we went to school in the afternoon.
Ah, okay.
But
what would you do after school?
Get up mischief, you know, like usual. There was no sporting teams in the village, too small. Actually, it was like a medieval part, one part of it. There was a church, almshouses for the old people, the rectory, Manor Farm, and the rest of Manor Farm ran up that way. Trent Manor, the Lord of the Manor, and that's where Charles II hid under the floorboards. I'd been in there. And he gave every staff member there a guinea each when he left. Now, a guinea in those days, Charles II would buy a couple of houses. Yeah, so we've been there. Oh, the Rose and Crown was down there in that group, you know. And Howard Harris, who I worked for, ran sheep, cattle, and 170 cow dairy. 30 draft horses in the stable. And he had a cob. And when they took the sheep to the village over where I ended up, Bradford Abbas, I had to drive the pickup wagon. The cob with the net over the back to pick up the land as it knocked up, you know, put in. That was worthwhile.
How old were you?
8. Then we were going to leave Trent. First of all, I'll tell you, it was a family affair at the church. 4 brothers, Fred, Dad, George, Jack, and Leonard. And the cousin used to ring the bells. The other brother that was a bit behind the times used to pump the organ. And Jessie Brooks played the organ. She was a cousin. 4 choir boys, us 3 brothers, and Richard Blackmore, the cousin. So that tells you, Uncle Lem was the sizeman in the church as well.
And what was the name of that church?
St. Andrew's, yep. And we had to go to church 7, 11, Sunday school, and 7 at night. Yeah, well, that was that part. Then you go to Mum was a lady's maid before she got married. And she worked for Miss Hitchens and toured all over Greece and France, Italy. And anyway, she come back, and Flambert's was the name of the place. Uncle Sam was the chauffeur. Uncle Jack Newman was the gardener. Auntie Phyllis was the cook. Auntie Elsie, Stan's wife, was the housekeeper. A real family affair, you know. And Miss Hitchens died. Miss Hitchens fell out the window and she passed away.
Who was that, Des?
That was the woman that Mum went around the world with, you know.
And how did she fall out the window?
Oh, I don't know. She must have leaned against it, you know. That's another thing, too. When they were thrashing corn or wheat, they had big stacks of wheat. And when they thrashed it, Stratton's was the contractor. We used to kill the rats as they ran out. And Miss Hitchens paid a penny a tail. I mean, we got it.
How did you kill them?
Knock them over.
Or with a stick? Or?
Yeah, with your best stick. And go down to the back door, and Auntie Elsie give us a penny each for each tail and throw them in the burner. Yeah, That was that one. No, Gravedigger, Stan Barker, he had a wooden leg. He used to ride the three-wheeled bike, you know, and he worked in the garden as well with planters. Yeah. But
you said before that you'd get up to mischief. What would the boys of the village do? What would you do when you had free time? You weren't killing.
Oh, well, of a night time, we used to go out the bedroom window down the hole in the brickwork in the drain pipe, and we had a game called Shine the Light Jack. And you'd go down the paddock, the common, 23 kids there. Of course, they always had their gun next door to see somebody, same old. And one mob would go with the torch and flick it on, and you had to catch them anyway. That was the thing. And the other one was knocking down ginger. That was a piece of cotton. You go, tie it on the door knocker, walk back to the front gate and run. All they would capers, you know. Yet, scrumping apples was another dangerous pastime.
Tell me about that.
At one time I was the cockatoo, and the kids had all gone through the hedge and I was stood there, and the gentleman come round the corner and grabbed me by the collar of my coat. Anyway, the kids are all coming out and running, and I undid the buttons on my jacket, and he thought he was pulling me over and let go. Oh, that's a funny show. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first off, did you have to blackouts and coupons?
Yeah,
and
bicycles had half a light, you know, but just shining on your front wheel. And you pulled the blackout, put the blinds up for the night, black it out. Yeah. And the Uncle Stan was an air raid warden. He'd go around blowing a whistle to warn it. And then he'd come round with the bell ringing, all clear. But we could hear the siren going in Sherborne, you know.
And what would you do when the whistle was blown or the siren was going?
Go out and go in the dugout. Yeah, and the old fellow would be there with the tin can never piddling, you know.
How many of you would be in the dugout?
Oh, 8 or 9. Yeah.
And did your village ever get bombed itself?
No, Sherborne did. But the school...
How far away was Sherborne?
4 mile. Yeah. The school had a trench. It was the same system, wood across. They chopped the whole orchard, apple orchard down, and used all the trunks for cover. Wasn't very deep, and where the air raid show in the daytime, there was an air raid well pile in there with gas masks, and it was another hideaway too, and yeah, pretty good. But as for the war,
what about towards the end of the war? What when it ended, what was the feeling like then?
I think we moved at the end of the war from Trent to Bradford Abbas. And I went to school, I was 13, and went to school at the Oval Tech.
Why did you move? Do you know why?
I got a job managing a big farm over there. Here's another one for you before I went there. Colonel... A lot of these ex-army blokes, Colonel Houghton Brown, Colonel Houghton Beckford, that was a hyphenated thing, drove me in a big Rolls Royce, black Rolls Royce, with a milking stool and a big couple of pails to milk 2 Jersey cows over at Bradford Abbas before we moved over there. And he had to put the nose of the car across the main A30 road to see anything coming, you know. But that was going to milk cows in a Rolls Royce. And I thought it was great. Yeah, anyway, I left school at 14. They said, you're not going to make any money if you're a bricklayer in England because of the wet weather. So I left there and worked for Coombe House, and they were the big investors in the Orient Line, Mr. and Mrs. Richardson. They were Canadian. Beautiful 12-acre, but the garden was walled garden, vegetable garden, 12 foot high, and gravel pathways. I had a rake, and the head gardener was Bill Bean. Funny thing, but he was a great gardener. And I worked there till I was 15.
And what did you do?
Gardening, lawn mowing, all that stuff, and digging. And one day I saw him up in the tank, and I thought, what's he doing? It was a fairly hot summer, it was, unusually. He had the water run between the French beans, and I'll have a drink. Pooh! He was mixing Epsom salts up in the tank, to make them grow faster. I thought, well. They'll pick up the hose again. And Bradford Abbotts was a fair-sized village then, But I didn't go to school there, but my sister did. And it had a rose and crown, like every second village had a rose and crown pot. Yeah. I met with Carol singing at Christmas. Few kids would make some money here. And we were out singing outside one big house. And, no, come in the hallway, and sing. Now, who are you collecting for? The blind. We were the blind. Yeah. Then they got a job with the Jumars at Hill Deverill. They were another big end of the shipping line. And big farm, 600 acres was a big farm. And I was going to work in the dairy. I'll tell you what, they grew all their own feed to feed them in the wintertime. And 45 cows produced 12 cans a day of milk, which is pretty good. And one cow produced, you had to put the cups on and fill the glass jar up and put the cups back on, 8 gallons a day she was producing. Anyway, Dad was, the manager above Dad was Colonel Houghton Brown. And big striding cap. He used to ride a hunter down and put it in the stable, and George was very broad in his language. And when we were kids and played up, he said, "Yes, me lord, I'll get you." And Jim Poulter was the herdsman, and he had a little offsider. And in the wintertime, was deadly. You had the coming off the Russian steps, the snow. You had the hose down the yard. It only make you cry, of course. And they had the big tight barn they could built by the monks many years before. And the water, they used to divert the creek, drop hatches down, and they had salmon steps, and the water used to come through the barn and drive the wheel to grind the corn, or wheat. And different when I was there, I had to hammer mill 60 tons of oats to feed the cows. They grew sugar beet, sent it to the factory, cut the tops off the sugar beet, fed it to the cows, sent the beet to the factory. They took the sugar out of it and sent the pulp back to the farm. And that was mixed with the oats to feed them, you know. Great place. That was the Devils. That was Hill Devil. We lived in Longbridge Devil. It was Moncton Devil, Brixton Devil. There were 7 devils along the stream, you know. And, yeah. And when the hunt was going to meet, fox hunting, you know, Dad used to go around and stop all the, hunt the foxes out of their set and block it up. And when I went home years ago, I went up to the hunt, went down to the pub, and the publicans serving their sherries on the horseback, you know. And then I walked back up the top to the top of the dome. It was worth watching. Here come the beagles and the horses behind them. The fox was coming up. I could see the fox coming straight up towards me up the furrow. He went across this way and went back down the furrow. They passed him on the way up. I was smart. Really smart.
Des, I might just stop you there for a second.
Okay, now where were we up to?
All right, so the smart fox.
Yeah, that was there. That's when I went back.
Yeah, when you went back. When was that? 78? Something like that.
79.
79, okay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to when you were, how old were you there? 15, 16?
When we moved to Wiltshire, I was 15. Yeah, I worked at the same farm as Dad, see. There was about 12 blokes working there. Cheaper than that. And saw the ad then for the Big Brother movement for boys to go to Australia. So made application. Went and got interviewed by a colonel or somebody in Salisbury. And of course, I've been on dairy all my life. And he said, you'll probably be given a half a leg of lamb and a damper and be sent out to do some work out there, you know. Right. Anyway, got my passport and all that. And hey, pressure. I left on, what's the date today?
The 3rd.
June the 9th. Hang on. May the 4th. Yeah, May the 4th I left Tilbury in London. And great trip on the old tractor, 6 weeks trip for 10 quid. And first stop was Port Said, top end of the Suez Canal. Then we went through the canal and stopped at Aden, Yemen. Very interesting that young kids used to dive in the water for a shilling once you threw it in the water. Next stop was Ceylon. Ceylon, not Sri Lanka. And went ashore and we met the governor of Ceylon. There were 40 boys in the Big Brother mill. That was the crew on board. And it was very interesting there.
So how did you come to make that decision to come to Australia? What do you think was your motivation for that?
We must have Wandering Willie in our blood because my brother joined the Navy at 13, David, and finished schooling at Arethusa, the training ship. He did 14 or 15 years in there. My sister came out in 62, so what was clear enough. Mum said, I was hoping to get some board out of you, you know, which was fair enough.
What about your dad? Do you remember his reaction?
Oh, he didn't worry. No, he was easy going, you know. Yeah.
In those days, though, a long way.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe the last time that he might see you. Did you ever that cross your mind, or did you think that I can always come home? Do you remember?
I never thought about always going home because I was quite happy here, you know.
So where did you disembark? Where did you?
At Woolloomooloo, yeah. And then they took us out. They had a training farm at Cowpasture Road out of Liverpool. That was funny. Because half the kids, the young fellows come out, were from Liverpool, Belfast, Glasgow. Real pale looking kids, you know. Anyway, we had to go to this training farm. 80 cow dairy, Illawarra Shorthorns. The manager was Bill Thwaite, who'd been in 2 world wars. He showed us his leaf with a shrapnel hit him, but a character, and the matron there could roll the smoke behind the back with one hand. All this sort of stuff, you know. And they all had to get up at 4:30. And they feed the cattle, you know, and do the milking and other chores. And it was very good. In fact, it was June. There was a big frost in the morning. Beautiful sunny day. We'd go down and have to swim in the dam. We hit the water and we didn't stop swimming when we got out.
Was it familiar work for you?
Yeah, I've been doing it. Just what I've been doing. And actually the water from Warragamba Dam, there was an open chute in the property where it came through. But then we used to go out to the corner shop on Saturday night. This is one. I had an eye for detail. We're in the shop, 4 of us, and a Riley car pull in, a green Riley car, and the bloke gets out, he's got a Panama hat on, safari suit, and tan and white shoes, smoking a cigar. Anyway, he come in the shop and wanted something. And he said, "Who are you young fellows?" And the shop owner said, "They're on the training farm." He said, "What?" Of course, he'd just come back from Warwick Farm races. Anyway, come out next weekend and have a barbecue at my place. He lived in Penrith, you know. I didn't get there. I had to come up here on the Wednesday. They shipped me out because I didn't waste time. I knew how to hand milk cows besides milking machines. Anyway, lands at Singleton on the Wednesday, 12 o'clock I think it was.
How did you get here?
Train. Only one that got off the train. They were throwing the goods out into the street and making, they just had another small flood, you know. Anyway, a bloke walked up to me and he said, "Are you the young English fellow?" I said, "Yeah." And, "Well, Mr. Woods is in the toilet. That's going to be me boss." He come out, tamping his pipe with it. "Where to?" "The Caledonian Hotel." And then, "You must be hungry," he said, and took me across the road, Lusty's Cafe. Who's behind the counter? A Cockney woman. "Yes, love." Mixed grill, 5 and 6pence. Big time, mate. I bought a packet of 10 B&H and put it in my top pocket. And went across to the Cali, 16-year-old. "What do you have to drink, boy?" You know. "Oh, I've never drank beer, cider yet." And he said, "Port and lemon, what Mum has." I got it. And they all laughed, you know. To get to the brook, we had to catch the milk truck. Well, the milk truck was over at the bakehouse, and he had meat, bread, rolls of barbed wire, bags of chaff, all that stuff. So we had a set up in the back. It was Charlie Stapleton, Polly Hollingshed, who was a ringer on the table land up here, and myself. And we got going anyway. Polly said, "Could I have a tailor-made?" He saw me in the car. I said, "Tailor-made suit?" Charlie said, "He makes a cigarette." So I said, "You can have a packet." Anyway, we dropped stuff off and at different gateways, barbed wire and milk cans. And this is one funny part. We're going up the hill and down the next hill. Inquisitive. Who lives there? Fred Jones. He's a Catholic. Comes up around the bend of the boys' place. They're Catholic. I said, "This is not Northern Ireland, is it?" You're a funny fellow, Charlie. And then disembarked, got the bread and stuff. He had the horse and cart. So we had the back dolly into the car and jog across the creek and drop some bread off of Teddy Harmon. And guess who sat on the bread? It's a weird flat loaf. Yeah. And Mrs. Woods welcomed me in, and they'd lost a son in the war, Fred. And a big meal, cooked up meal. And they had a room for me in the house. But after a while, we changed that. Because when you start running around, you don't want to come over at night and wake them up. So the other.
So how old were you now?
16 then.
Yep.
Yeah. And they had a guardian for you. It was Derek Ewins, a white anti-exterminator in Sydney. Yeah, he was supposed to look after your interest, And the first Christmas, I got a weekend down in Coogee with him and his wife and one little boy. And he took me for a drive to Stanwell Park, where the first flight was made, wasn't it? Stanwell Park. Royal National Park. And he said, "Do you think you can find yourself? Could you find your way home?" I did. He said, "That's amazing." But I took notice of everything. Sticky big. And, Derek Ewins. Now, what are we up to?
So when you arrived, what sort of work did you do for the Woodses? What were you in?
Milking cows by hand.
How many?
Oh, about 45. Because he had no machines. His wife soon talked to me and getting machines. Awful of valve. And
so when you moved outside, did you have your own quarters somewhere? Like where?
Yeah, it was part of the old house before they built a new one, which slabs, with a piece of wood on cracks and calico ceiling. Anyway, that's where I saw the snake going across the pole, and he stuck his head down the corner. And I shot him off the bed.
Well, you're in bed and you shot him.
Yeah, well, he was there, and he just fell down on the floor. But there was loads of snakes there. And Mrs. Woods didn't know, but you could hear across the ceiling. No snake can get in here. Anyway, couldn't argue with her. And then I was over at the shed one day and saw this 6-foot black snake buckling on the hot roof. So I sang out to her to prove the point, of course, stupid. She came out the back door and it's gone down the ivy covered archway. We got him. I said, Don't matter about all the netting you put round. He came out round the flashing round the chimney. So they can squeeze to 1/4 of an inch, as you might know. Yeah.
And so, was it a different life or very similar to what you had, like when you arrived? What was different for you? What did you notice about Australia that was not like home?
The difference was Sunday getting on the horse and, got on the horse every day. It was good. We used to go to the dry paddock and take dry cattle over the finished milker and bring the springers back. Yeah, it was an eye-opener.
What about your first summer in Australia?
Oh, yeah. Got used to it. Only wore a pair of shorts anyway. Yeah. Yeah, the winters were the worst of everything. The westerly wind, it was on the wind. And at the top of the hill we were, and it used to come straight up. Yeah, but the other fellow died in 1953, so that left me on the place,
So when Mr. Woods died, did you continue to stay there and work there?
Yeah, share farm. I was a share farmer then. Yeah. Not much money. No. More in doing it.
So, what about your social life once you moved here? What did you do?
Oh, all the young fellas come to see this young Pommy fella. About 12 bicycles coming up the hill one day. Come in and meet the Pommy. Meet the Pom. Yeah. Well, it was 3 Thomases, 3 Boyses, another 3 boys. 9 of them, yeah. Funny.
So what did you do socially? What sort of, were there dances or music?
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
Dances, well, there was Christmas tree, was a big part of the year, where the ladies used to wait for the milk truck to bring fresh bread out, and they cut sandwiches up all morning, then go home and bake sponges and for the night. And they'd have foot racing, driving the nails and all this stuff,
Where were they at?
At the hall, yeah. It's still going pretty good. And so they'd have the Christmas tree, the races and Santa Claus, feed the kids first and then the adults. And 9 o'clock they finish. That's when the cards started. The bloke stayed behind and played till 2 o'clock. Speculation. There's slippery sand and speculation. 4 cards, 3 cards, And not pennies changing hands.
And what about girls? When did the girls come on the scene? Dancers. Did you learn to dance? And was there?
I was emceeing the dances. I was MC. Yeah. And there were plenty of girls around. I got demoted one night. Across the road, Ruth Jones lived, nice woman, and she said, "Do you mind if I get personally Quiggin to be MC and his wife would judge the ball gown?" No, that's all right, because give me a free leg. Yeah, they were good dancers. They were pick-a-box dancers. We had 6 balls at least in the winter time. Hall ball, spring ball, Catholic ball, Church of England ball, and the hall ball,
Who'd play the music?
We had the Ribbon Boys from Curry, and they come, and they were live, okay. And behind the curtain you'd see a half-gallon of brown dog. Unreal. And Devers Orchestra. And we had an orchestra from Singleton. Can't be from that. Paget's band, that's right, from Singleton. What about the girl? Yeah, well, there were plenty of girls there. And the best dance was the barn dance, wasn't it? Where you changed partners all the time. Yeah. Fights, of course.
Oh.
Yeah, out at the front. One bloke had to go back to Gresford and get his eyes, that part flapped over his eyes, get it stitched up. And then you had those days, the mine up here. Blokes used to camp at the mine all week, you know. And they come down. Of course, there was two blokes walked past the steps, and these miners, and one was a professional boxer in Newcastle. There go a couple of turkeys. Of course, they weren't going to take that. These two little blokes from Gresford, they turned around and come back. Sorry. Yeah. And those days, they used to plant their bottles of plonk around the paddock. And they'd lose them, you know. And people would find them the next day. They came from everywhere, though. You know, they used to run a bus from Singleton and Branxton. Then you had the big bloke that come there, and he'd run a chocolate wheel out the front, you know, the red, white and blue. And Connie Fitzsimmons he was a rogue. But he used to go around all the rodeos, you know. And throw the dart, and you know, there's some old gamblers out here then. And
what about sport? Was there football or cricket or
no?
tennis?
In the old days there was a cricket team down the road, but being Milton, you couldn't go to play cricket. See, I played football with Gresford to start with, and that was a good thing, you know. Didn't matter if you won or lost, as long as you had a good time afterwards.
Tell me about meeting Maureen.
Oh, well, her brother-in-law introduced me to Maureen. Yeah. I forget the first time I met her. Yeah. She was nursing then. Were you nursing at Singleton or Marta? Singleton, yeah. She's nursing at Singleton. So we opened up the waiting room at the nurses' quarters. Yeah. They still have a reunion, the nurses.
Do you remember the introduction, meeting Maureen?
Oh, I forget, man.
Do you remember going to the movies with it? So the first time that you went to the movies with your now wife, you took Mrs. Woods.
Is that right? Yes. I did. Sandals and socks, the Strand Theatre. Yeah, I see one. I used to ride a push bike to the pictures. First time, I just got around the corner on the road, and this big ute pulled up and said, "Throw her on the back." With one of the Sylvesters, the big grey, he gave me a lift in. I got a lift halfway back. Didn't take long to get to Singleton anyway.
How far Singleton?
From here now it's 19k, but from up there it was about 15 miles. Yeah. Oh, there were some funny times there. Old Year's Night was a big night. And what I should tell you, but I went down next door to Al Campbell's. We were just sitting on the veranda. It was a hot night. So we went up the road and got all Frank Jones's milk cans, undid the top wire on the fence, and threaded the wire through the handles of the milk cans and strained it up again. Coming back down the hill, Alf dropped me off, and I went and took the toilet pan out of the toilet at Teddy Harmon's and put a tin can in its place and put the toilet thing round the back. Anyway, we're sitting on the veranda and we see the torch bobbing down the back to the toilet. Next thing, Ted! Ted! What happened? He knew who did it. He knew who did it. Anyway, I no car cut off to take the milk to the road, no Dodge. And I used to pull a tank on a trolley up to the dairy. And I'm going pulling the trolley up. Next thing, all I could see was a black car with pink spots all over it. They'd done me car. Yes, I knew who that was too. Yeah, a lot of funny things. Oh yeah. When Chris was in the crib, my son, I was working at the army camp then because there was no money up there. And walked out the back. White. Everywhere. White. 65. June. Yeah. White as. It got close here about a fortnight ago. You know, you could see it on Roscoe and Aberdeen. You've got good views out the back. I had the mill run too.
The mile run?
On horseback.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I swapped my bicycle for Archie the horse that Lenny Boyce had, who just called a while ago. And I used to come down the paddock, straight down to the top of the next hill to the post office, and pick the mail up. And Archie would half gallop, and he'd go prop, 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 and just give you time to throw the mail in the box. And it was, by road it was 26 miles, but up the mile, and come back a bit, and go through a gate, and come over the top, and you ended up on the pass. And, yeah, all sorts of things you were given to take to the old Boyce brothers, 5 brothers, bachelors, living up there. But, yeah, that was good. And when we went motorised, I put in a tender, again, down a by road, and I was milking one evening, and Mr. Frost and his little tiny counterpart come up, and they were leaning on the fence. I think you stretched the mileage a bit. Oh, got to give and take, you know. All right, we'll accept it. So I got the contract again, then Maureen took it over. She was running it.
So you did it by car then?
Car then.
What was
yeah.
the first car?
I had a Speed Twin after the horse, and you couldn't go into the creek if it
What's
was...
it, a Speed 10?
Speed Twin.
Twin.
Triumph. Motorbike.
Yes.
Yep. And you couldn't go into the creek when you had the horse if it was halfway up the saddle flaps. You'd not do it. Yeah, Maury got stuck in the creek. Yeah. But there was...
So you had the Triumph, then what did you move to then? Did you get a car?
Yeah, the car, man.
What was that?
Morris Major. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Maureen took over the run then?
Yeah, yeah. And old Frosty said, I could give you a job down the office if you like. Old Shark he was. Oh, the billboard inspector. He used to come round and he came up one day and I'm having trouble with the cream, you know. And Maureen got stuck into the cleaning room. All the dishes in the separator, about 40 of them. And he was showing more into spores on a thing, you know. And, oh, they're very good now. And he came up one day, and I had a sow and litter down, the pigsty was just down the hill. He come in the door into the dairy, and there's all these little piglets cleaning up the feed, you know. You give them, oh, we can't have this. We can't. Oh, God, where did they come from? He was all right, though, you know. Blokes got him the wrong way. But Basil. Sid was in the old days with Alec Bergman driving the milk truck before milk tankers. With 2 bob return, 2 shillings return to go to Singleton with him. Yeah. And,
so what did you do when you stopped doing the mail run?
We left here, didn't we? And what year was that? There's no money. Just no money.
Yeah.
There was when did the drought start? Not long after Chris was born. It didn't come good until 69 or something like that. And we moved to Whittingham, worked for Dudley Bergman, but we had to share a house with his mother, which didn't work out with a young baby. And then we got the offer of a job with Kenny Travers at Lower Belford. And we were on wages. And
what sort of work?
Dairy, yeah. Good bloke, Kenny. And we went halves on vegetables. He gave me plenty of time to do the vegetable part. And I used to run them 3 times a week in Maitland markets. Or 2, whatever. Anyway. And I was known as the Pumpkin King then. 86 dozen pumpkins one week. I took through the Kennedy's fruit market. All sorts of stuff. Cucumbers, carrots, you name it, potatoes, wash the potatoes. We're down there at 4:30 in the morning, and the heat was 94 at 6 o'clock. That's when they had the fire at Cessnock. And you had to get them out quick because they cook in the ground, you know. Then one time, Maureen, there was a job advertised for a barmaid. So things were bad, and we took the stuff to the market, to the Monday market on Sunday night, and called in at the Aero Club for an interview. And got the job. How many years there? 8 years, yeah. Pretty good. So she knew all the pilots around the place. And you said you're elderly. Who was flying the plane then? Don't know? Who was the fellow you knew that flew the plane? Johnny Groff. Yeah. They're still flying there anyway. All the time. Did you jump, did you?
Never again.
Solo?
No, yes,
yeah. Yeah.
And
that was Bruce Moore's airstrip. And I was at Belford working for Kenny, and he used to come in moonlight and land there. But he didn't land there again after he crashed in Nimbin on the north coast. And they swore they'd never take. He took his father with him, and they swore they'd never do that. But he did. Bruce Moore.
Did you eventually move off the land at all? And did you get?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kenny's young fellow was growing up, and I said, "You're going to have to keep the lad at home, you know." Anyway, Darcy Jones offered me a job, and he had a house across the creek. No, we didn't want him there, so Terry Jones's brother had this house up a few miles up the road, so they cut it in half, and I bought it for 400 bucks, and shifted it here on a semi-trailer. I had to cut it in half to get through the bridge up here that's got the high side. So we moved. I was travelling from Belford out here to work, you know, and Darcy had a wife who was at the thing, and 6 kids, or 7, yeah, and on wages, yeah, on wages, and 50-50 with vegetables again, cucumbers and pumpkins and whatever, you know, that worked out all right. So after 4 years, things were tightening up. He wouldn't make much money. What was it? Oh, I left and was doing pension for his brother up the road. And John Cowley pulled up. His father was a champion rider of Australia at one stage. And he said, "Do you want a job with me, you know? $2 an hour. $2 an hour. I was at 98 down there, cents. Anyway, all right, when I finished this, so I went for work for John. And once again, pumpkins come into it. He said, "How about selling that flat there with pumpkins, and we'll go half." So we did. Anyway, we're toddling along, and Arthur Ricks, who owned the pickup here, Great Greater Colliery, pulled up. "Have you got any ring spanners or something? Because the wheels are spread on his ute." "I'll run you up the pit." Yeah, run him up, and then hit him up for a job. He said, "Come and see me on Monday or whatever. Send me down to the union office to get a ticket." So that was that. And I started off by painting 700 tons of steel, RSJs, and what's the other one? Channels, yeah, and the channel. Then that was casual, see. Then one day I was painting. "Leave that paint and come over here and unblock the crusher that was blocked up." All right. Kept doing that, you know. Things were jamming up. "Now, how about a permanent job?" Oh, and that's when he sent me down to the union office. So 20 years there at the mine, you know, Great Greater Colliery. Yeah.
Do you remember what your first pay was there? If you were getting $2 an hour, what do you remember?
No, the first pay was $212 for the week, not for the month. Yeah. And Maureen would tell you, "I never saw that." Oh, when we were on the farm, we couldn't afford to go on holiday, so I used to go and work for McGuigan for a fortnight. Brian McGuigan, yeah, down there at the Wyndham Estate, yeah. That was peanuts. It was $35 a week. You had to punch the Bundy to sign on and punch it when you signed off. And if you're up there a mile from the cellars and your crib was back here, you had to do it in your time. So you walk 10 minutes back and have 10 minutes and walk 10 minutes back. he was tight. He wouldn't let the women leave the production line where they were bottling to go to the toilet even. He was tough. Purse, those days, if you want a flagon of wine, $1.80. Go in the Persimmons in the cellar in Branksome, it was $1.20. And another thing they said was they had some bin spa. You ever heard of that? A real pink lolly water. So they used to get it at 2 and 6pence a gallon from South Australia, come in 44-gallon drums and sell it for 75 cents a bottle. So you'd see the profit there. But hardjacker, it was hardjacker. Dive your hands into the plant and the vines, and you drive your hands into the thing full of cabbage. Your fingers were pretty raw, you know. But good. Yeah, the pit was good. In fact, I went and saw an old miner driver on Saturday morning. My son took me out to Billy Thompson. He'll be 89 in October, yeah. A real gem of a bloke. Saved me life 3 times.
Tell me about those.
Well, we're on the miner and he's cutting mudstones down off the roof, you know. He trim it back. I walked past and he grabbed me, pulled me back. Don't go any further, did he? And next thing it was all across the front. And another time, those things down the pit called a witch's hat. They're in the roof. They're shaped like that. And they're stone. And I was stood and we were pumping water out so that he could get the miner and cut again. And he pulled me back again, just in time. Down it came. And the rib came in on another corner of the. He was driving the miner, and the spike came out of the rib, and he told me to get back. He was still in the cabin when it crashed, but he never hurt him. That was it. 3 lives.
So, Des, what was it like being a farmer and then all of a sudden being underground? What was that like? Did that have an effect on you?
It was in our family in the old days. They were miners in Yorkshire. Descendants, you know. Yeah. No. Loved it.
Was it hard work?
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah. When we were in the old... Well, I first started there, the Ritchie. We had the old tunnel. The horses had a long finish, you know. And the belt now had no rubber on it, which just canvas. And it was running through the structure. And on the drive head, drove the conveyor belt. If you happen to slip and put your hand on the cogs, they were razor sharp. Worn out. Yeah. But Ritchie sold out 1-point-something million, but he'd never had in his life before. And the coal used to go to Burlington Mills. It used to go to Tomago. And I can't think of the name of the managing director from Sydney. Good bloke. He lives at Mudgee now. I used to do the Great Greater Grind at Christmas time, pull them all to pieces, you know, and put them together again. And I had he had to go to Japan to get shells of coal, and eat all sorts of little, you know, the stuff they eat. And I said in the paper, Peter, his name was, Peter had a great time in the house of the tea house of the Yorker Spoon. He said, my wife didn't appreciate that much. Yeah. And we had one bloke up here, he was he came on. I was working dog watch on my own. I was the only place in New South Wales that be happening. And I was sitting outside in the winter time. I serviced all the vehicles, and they were ready to go. And sitting outside with my back against the shed wall, and a 44 gallon drum full of coal blazing away. And this is about 5:30. I opened my eyes and had a pair of black shoes there, highly polished. And this is the way you usually find you this time of the morning, with the new deputy, Don Nichols, from Newcastle. He used to have the pub at Maitland. He had the pub at Largs. To get people out of the pub, he used to hose them down in the toilet through the louvers. Yeah. And he had trawlers working from Newcastle. And he said the heavies came round to see me last night. What's happened at the time? Well, I went along the wharf where the slope heads are, cutting the cords off the buoys, you know. You just can't do that. But on the front page of the Herald one day, he lost his leg down the pit. On the front page of the Herald, found on the medium strip in Hamilton, prosthetic leg with a black shoe on it. They took it off him in the pubs and trying to get its hours extended near the railway gates. Anyway. Oh, he was a rogue, mate. He was a rogue. Anyway, we went down the pit one morning. The two it was board and pillar those days. We had no miner. And they'd gone in, he'd done the pre-shift, and it was all stand up ready to shoot. And he fired the shot when he left, and the coal came down. And he was stood on the corner of the Ridwin hooking and barrel, that's the nickname. Went to have a look to see where to load out. And they're just walking back around to get the loaders, and then she come. And there was a sandstone slab about that thick, 50 metres long. It hit his helmet and knocked him over, and his legs went out, and one leg went under the slab. And me and Terry Martin digging in the coal to get his. I said, "Don't worry, his boot's in my hand. All holding the sinews, you know." He came back 6 months later. Peg leg. Yes.
Did you see lots of injury in the mine?
No, there's not really. No, there's fingers and stuff like that. You know, one bloke got hit with a piece of stone out the roof. Can't think of his name now. He's gone. No, not too bad up here, but that was the worst one. Don Nichols. Yeah, he passed on.
And what about, how long did you have? 20 years in the mine?
I might have been 3 months short of 20. Yeah. Right on my birthday, I retired.
And when you say you retired, what did you do?
Believe it or not, I worked at the school voluntary, St Catherine School in Singapore. And then the Mercy Nursing Home, fellow that did the work there, saw me there. I wasn't getting any pay in the school, of course. I was doing something on the marking the soccer pitch out the back. And he come over and said, "Would you be interested in filling in?" I was up the street one day, I knew the job was coming up, and I said to Ray, "I see they want somebody at the Mercy Home." "Yeah, I've got it," he said. That was it. Yeah, I filled in for him on the holiday. And he said, "No, you don't talk to the patients much, you know. Different to me. There was one old girl there had no legs. And she used to sit in the corner and smoke. She was old Pommy. Yeah. She was a character. There's another woman sat in the other corner, and she smoked P&H, you know, and had a whiskey in the bag. And Sister Gladys ran that. She used to be at the Margaret running the children's part. But one day I was watching Alan Border coming through the lounge part, and he was just about to get his 100. And she said, if you've got nothing better to do, you might as well go home. What's your ever gone? Yeah, she was good. Yeah. Oh, I knew a lot of the people in there anyway, you know. If I come in the morning, they were all waiting in the wheelchairs at the top. I said, want a hand? And I wheel them down to the tables, you know. Yes, don't talk to them. There was one young fellow, Tony Kelly, and I was walking past the window and said, how you going? He sung out. I went down the arm with him, of course. Anybody.
Des, coming over as a 16-year-old boy, what about contact with your family back in England?
I wrote a lot, man.
Yeah.
Because you can... Yeah, I wrote letters pretty often. You know.
Who to?
Mum. That's the main ones, you know. And Chris was showing me a letter that Mrs. Woods wrote when I landed. How well I was getting on with her husband, you know. Seeing they lost the fella in Changi. And, yes, I used to write a lot, then I slowed up a bit. Of course you do.
Was there any homesickness at all? Did you ever miss home?
No, not really. It was a good home, though, you know. Pretty good. Always got on well with the old fella and Mum.
What sort of person was he, Des? How would you describe your dad as a person? If, well, to me, who doesn't know him?
Big, hard-working, West Country talking, you know. And he'd say to the gentry, yes, sir, yes, sir. And we were always told when we were kids to tip your hat to the gentry. Yeah, sure. But I used to work for that colonel out in Beckford that took me in the Rolls Royce. His wife used to drive the shooting brake, they called her. Like a 6-seater, you know. I had to lead the pony for the little daughter to ride at the Gymkhana. I had to go 6 miles and lead it. It'd been better if I got on the back of it. But she drove behind while I led this at a trot, you know. I was trotting, it was trotting to Marston Magna. Different thing, but...
So was there did you notice a class distinction in England? What was it like here in Australia? You said you drove along and they were going, oh, Catholic, that's a Catholic.
Oh, yeah, that was a bad thing around here at Singleton.
Yeah.
There's certain places in Singleton you couldn't get a job unless you were a Catholic. That was fair income, you know. And that's another thing. I got converted to Catholicism by a pedophile priest, which galls me today at Macalinden. Yeah. I thought, when I saw him in Mass at Greta, some woman was a bit slow with the reply. If you can't keep up, leave. I thought, there's something wrong with you, you prick.
You were right.
I was right, yeah. And anyway, I had that, I won't go into them. Yeah, so.
What about your grandparents? Did you know them at all?
Well, Chris was here, my son, the other day, and he's got all the other photos of the lot. Even Dad's birth certificate. There's references they gave him for jobs. And Uncle Charles March was my grandfather, but all I knew of him, he was in bed most of the time, and he died in bed. But a nice old fella, you know. We were only little kids, you know, hanging on the side of the bed. But
And what about your mum? What sort of woman was she?
tops, good cook,
What do you remember?
great needlewoman, you know, needlework, unreal.
What do you remember her cooking?
Oh yeah, unreal. Birthday cakes, you got the special one, you know, the rainbow cake. There it is there. And you never seen me like the Christmas dinner when I went back. You know, what the Christmas dinner consisted of, Brussels sprouts. She'd lay by the turkey, always lay by the turkey. Chipolatos, pork, roast potatoes, all that on the plate piled up. And she used to, in the old days at Bradford Abbas, she used to stuff cockerels to dress and sell at Christmas, 9 pounds weight. You imagine the size of the, you know, the leg bone. Yeah, she was good.
So
but she went cooking for the Dumars when they went on holidays to Cornwall, see? Well, they took her along with her. Yeah. She was good on, her handwriting is something else, you know. Brilliant. She used to write the cards out for the winners at the show in the village, you know. And I had it there, the obituary for her.
So when you went back there,
yeah.
Who was there? Who did you meet up with?
Well, the brother from South Africa was home with his 2 teenage daughters.
Was your mum and dad still alive?
Oh yeah. And
was that the first time you'd seen them since you'd come to Australia?
Yeah. And Cedric, the brother, who stayed with them till Mum died, you know. Poor old Cedric had got all the grog in for Christmas, but my sister and me demolished that before Christmas, and I had to go take the crate down to the pub, which was from here, across the road, and that was my home every night, down the pub.
Tell me what it was like to see your mum and dad again after leaving them when you were a 16-year-old boy.
Great. Yeah, great.
Where did you see them for the first time?
In the kitchen when I got back from London. Yeah, that old fella. I got dressed up in his big coat and his cap. He always wore that cap, and the shepherd's crook. It's still over there, the shepherd's crook. That's mine. Yeah. And I went to the pub where they had the, you know, where they all put the money in and divvy it up at Christmas. And I went, and so it made 6 of us. So I shouted my round, you know, pints. They all drank pints. And, yeah, the old fella. Great gardener. He died at 74 though. Uncle Jack died at 80. Fred was the wild card in the bunch. They had a March reunion, and a young fellow turned up from Plymouth. I'm Fred's son.
No one knew.
Nope. He was a character, though. He'd come back on leave in the wartime with a little school port full of chocolates, you know. He was a popular man. And Christmas time, he used to get Mum drunk. And Mum said, mother's ruin, she called it the drink. Yeah. Funny that.
You've had a remarkable life, and things haven't always gone the way that perhaps you have expected them.
No.
What would your advice be to the generations of your family to come about what happens when things don't go right? What do you do? How do you push through?
Always push through, you know. I've had no bad injuries here, that's one thing, you know. Always look on the bright side, you know. Never get down. But Chris is pretty good, the son. He's the manager at Mangoola Mine, the washery manager. Yeah, he's got all the old folk stuff. And we did talk in Skype the other night to my brother in England and my brother in South Africa, the one that joined the Navy at 13. And Chris said, I don't know whether he's trying to drink himself to death. He's older than me, he's 85.
Looking back over your life, is there any one person or someone you've worked with, or your mum or your dad or whoever, that you think might have had an influence on who you are and who you've become today? Who are the people that have influenced you over your life?
Oh, my mother the most. Yeah, sure. Yeah. She was a thrifty woman. I mean, where would you get? We never owned a car. Nobody had cars. And once a year, she'd hire a taxi and take us to the beach. A taxi. Yeah. She knew how to save money, mate. You know. Yeah, same as Maureen. She's the same. She's the leader of the crop round here.
Tell me about Maureen. What was it that attracted you to her?
Oh, well, she's good looking sort, you know. Yeah, sure. And could see the funny side of things. Yeah. And she's been a good mother. And now she's still looking after kids, you know. But what would you do without her? You know. So Billy Thompson said on Saturday, "Boy, grandchild, he's got 15 grandchildren." And he said, the little one says, "Billy's my best mate." You know. I said, well, that'll keep you going, mate. He's had a stroke. He's had cancer taken out behind his ear. I haven't got the picture, but they took a picture of me and him. Yeah.
What brings you joy now, Des?
Watching the quizzes. I'm a quiz mad. Yeah. And, well, I used to go on a Friday and have a punt, you know. But getting around the trouble with the stick. But I guess going out my meal at the pub is one of my best things. For Maureen as well, you know. And I'll tell you, there's a good pub at Cessnock. It's got the best Guinness pie I've ever tasted. Yeah. But usually go to the Royal in Singleton, you know, or gonna have a meal. Maureen's tied up with the St Paul's Church up here. It's she cleans it, rubs it down, washes, and she runs it, you know.
Has faith ever played a role in your life, or prayer?
Not really much. No, well, you know, I say a prayer if somebody needs one. Yeah. But I'm disenchanted, see, with them. After reading the paper there a fortnight ago.
If you could give a message, like put a billboard up so that everyone in the world could see it, what message would you give?
Just play it straight and be kind to others, you know. The world's a mess, isn't it? The world is a mess. Yeah. But what's changed in the Middle East? In centuries, nothing's changed. Nothing.
If I had some fairy dust, Des, and you could sprinkle it around and change anything in the world, or what do you think you'd change?
Well, religion is killing things. Just be friends with everybody, you know. Maureen said to me, "What are you talking to him for?" I said, "I'll talk to anybody, whether down and out or what, you know. No class distinction with me, mate. No. Great place to live. But Glenbrook, there's me, Peter Waite, and his wife, and Lorna Cook. That's about the oldies in Glenbrook left. All the Joneses are gone but one. Used to be all Joneses. Boyces are gone. Thomases are gone. And they were the backbone of the brook, you know. It's like Singleton, never the same since the dairy company went. We had 26 dairies here. And the smell out of the streetscape, same as the thing in Newcastle with the rail line, you know, and Sydney. Ruined the place. I like Sydney in the old days. The days of Tilly Devine and the Black Panther. They were, if you went on Saturday night when we were in the Nash shows, went on Saturday night, you could move on the pavements, you know.
You did national service?
Yeah, my word. I'm still in the Nash shows, Upper Hunter branch, yeah. Holsworthy, we did ours. Got on the boxing troop there. And that was good. I still remember the names of the blokes in there, you know.
How long were you in Nasho for?
Well, 3 months in there was too short. I had to get somebody to do me milking while I was away. It's like playing football. I had to pay somebody to milk me cows when I went and played football at Merrywalk. Yeah, a good mates in rugby league in Singleton. I'm the patron of the Singleton Strikers Soccer Club. Yeah. Made some good friends there.
Well, Des?
Yeah, never played that much in there except for driving with Austin A30 in and out the electric light powered down Boundary Street. And Alan Thomas sitting there, he said, they called me the Mad Pommy. He said, "I'm bloody mad, Margie." Yeah.
Well, Des, thank you very much for sharing some of your story. It's
Right.
absolute privilege to be able to sit here and listen to your life. It's been full of love, sadness, and especially hard work. And thank you.
There was one thing I forgot. Too late now.
That's all right. What is it?
The first bushfire I went to in October 1950, they didn't go and fight the bushfire in the daytime because they were milking the cows, see? So we jumped on our horses, and the next door neighbour came up. A little tableland above the pit was on fire. And when I got my award at the fire station, I was going to tell him that, but I thought better not. The first set of slip rails we come to, it was George Woods, myself, and Aubrey Jordan. And all said to George, "Would you care for a taste?" He had a bloody bottle of brown dog in a saddlebag. And next set of slip rails we come to, same again. I said, "No, I don't drink." I was going to tell him at the fireys. about it, you know, but that was an insight. Yeah, funny. Just break a sapling off and fight the fire. That's all. Oh, you know, the dancers were something else, weren't they, those days?
Thank you, Des.
Okay, thank you.